You received a call from an inmate at the Department of Corrections. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Well, hello, Michael. How are things going with you and your family? All right. Yeah, I know. Even the economy out here is just doing pretty bad, but we're surviving the best way we can. And I can imagine it's spilling over inside of prison as well. Well, no, yeah, I'm doing all right out here. It's a tough uphill battle, but we're making a little bit of progress. We're slowly concentrating on health and alternative sentencing and oh, so this guy's name is Michael, just like you, and he remorse, huh? So he's traumatized by the crime that he committed. Oh, the victims. Oh, wow. Yeah, the I know for young people, gun violence is kind of rising for the cause of death, but vehicular homicide and deaths by car accidents and stuff, that's always going to be up there. Ever since the first car was invented, it's just not going to go away. And so was this. Oh, so he was drunk driving. He killed a mother and her daughter. Well, yeah, I could see the trauma on different levels with that one. He's drinking, got himself drunk, lost control of his senses and his ability to reason. And now he's sitting in prison thinking about him. I don't know. I know there's some victims out there, family members who would like for the people who are in prison to have pictures of their loved one, so that every day they're in prison, they could see the life that they took. There's investigators out there who have pictures of victims on the wall to remind them of what they're doing. And sometimes after the case is closed and guilty parties are locked up, the folks that help them put them there, they'll go out and continue to meet with them. And that's a good part of healing. The people who are in prison, I don't know how we can help them to heal. I mean, this Michael, he looks at a picture of this woman and her daughter on the wall in his cell, and it's not really giving him any peace. He still feels that guilt, and that is very traumatic. Oh, okay. So the victim's brother wrote him a letter. Okay, yeah. And I guess part of the healing process for the families of victims is that they can find the person who committed the crime and then get the person convicted.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And at least he didn't run away or try to deny anything. He accepted responsibility. So that's good. But still, that trauma, it's on all sides. And this is a rare case too, where the family gets to deal with that trauma in a different way. Well, I do wish you the best.
You have 30 seconds
And
remaining.
you've suffered some from trauma as well, so hopefully you can sit down and talk to this person and ease his mind And if you'd like me to reach out to the family members of the victims, I can give that a shot, see what we got. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. And you take care of yourself. And hopefully there won't be such a big gap. Welcome to AQS Inmate Call, and I'm your host, Joel Wilborn. And this is a story about the victims. We hear a lot about victims when it comes to crimes, especially the violent crimes and crimes where somebody loses a life. We read stories and see the news about how much an impact this crime had on the loved ones that are left behind after a death. And that's the way it should be. We should concentrate on the victims. So people watching it will say, this isn't a victimless crime, especially those that demean other people. And we have a lot of men out there who will commit crimes against women. And what you take away from the crime is that these men had no respect, no regard for their victim. They treated them as if they were just throwaway possessions or something that has no right to live. And even though with a mental state like that, it's very difficult to reverse it. If anybody's contemplating that a woman or a child is there to serve the person who's committing a crime, maybe watching these stories or hearing them from other folks, they'll understand that there's a little bit more to the situation than just throwing away an inanimate object. And the same thing happens too when we talk about family members whose loved one was murdered. We could talk about people who burn down houses or steal jewelry and valuables, and people who embezzle money, or you have those folks that go on social media and prey on women who are looking for a little romance in their life. And, they'll take money from them and stuff. And a lot of victims don't get any compensation. And even if somebody tried, you just can't compensate for a lost life. And if a wheelchair is stolen or a bicycle, there's times you can't even compensate for that. So the victim is really the one that gets the raw end of this deal, especially those where we don't know who committed the crime. I mean, it could go generations and we don't know who committed the crime. So I just want to let everybody know that victims are important. We can't just concentrate on the people who commit the crimes. It's nice that they get found, tried, and convicted and sentenced. And I think what we're really looking for here is just to stop the crime wave. Like a lot of victims, family members will say, I hope my loved one didn't die in vain, that at least some good came out of it. Now, there's people that's been murdered, and their family members will start scholarships or non-profit organizations. They'll help in solving other crimes, finding missing people. It's a shame that somebody has to die for that, but at least this person isn't going to be put 6 feet under with an unmarked grave. There's folks that are left out here who care about them and want their legacy to live on. We also have people that are so traumatized by events in their life that they are committing suicide. And they're victims as well. And although we're never going to stop crime, especially violent crime, and we're never going to ease the pain that people feel, we have to look at what we go through, share those experiences with others. It's just like the way I look at my elders and my family. When I sit down and talk with them, there's a lot they've gone through in life. There was a lot of discrimination when they were growing up. There's a lot of financial hardship, death, disease, handicaps. And they'll share their wisdom with me about how things could have been different if certain situations were used in a positive way or something. Maybe a mistake they made that they don't want me to make, or maybe something that they learned after the fact that could have helped them get through it. And I think that's very valuable, because we can't prevent bad things from happening to us. It's what gives us the measurement for what's good. But we can guide people through those traumatic experiences. And who better to give you advice on how to get over a death in the family than somebody who's actually had a death? We respect the medical professionals, sociologists, psychologists, people who specialize in mental health. We respect these people because they've gone to school, they've learned, and they've talked to folks about the situation. And they can gather information that's very useful for us and our family. So we have to also look at the people who've been through that. Maybe they don't have the right answers. Maybe they don't have a lot of different cases to compare their situation with. But that one particular incident that caused that trauma, that caused that pain in their life, that will always be there. And if they're willing to talk about it, share this information, they could prevent a crime. Maybe somebody might just decide not to do something. And we need that. We need people to speak out. And we've got people in the prison who commit these crimes. They need to speak out too and find out what it was that led them to do such a terrible thing. And I think that's one way we can draw some positive results out of this, is just to communicate. We need people who are willing to talk, and people who are willing to listen, and the people who are willing to act on these. And I have all the respect for the victims out there and family members of victims, and even community leaders and professionals and neighbors, friends, anyone who's involved with this traumatic experience. You have to give them a nice shout out, because it's not easy. But to just live the life and never say anything, that doesn't really help anybody, even the person who was impacted directly by it. Just to become silent, not talk about it, not let it out, not seek other folks who've been through it and already found ways to heal. Why drag your pain out for 2 more years when all you can do is just sit down and talk to somebody who's did that, who sat with that pain for years until finally discovering something that could help ease the pain. Maybe a hobby, or maybe a support group, or maybe even getting involved in artistic work, writing poems or short stories, or maybe painting. And we have the ability to please ourselves and to grow and to teach and learn. And we should take full advantage of that. And I really encourage people who are locked up to talk about it. You never know who you might impact. That's the thing. When something goes wrong, we see it on the news, we hear about it. But when something goes right, we rarely ever do. And hopefully that's not a discouragement. Hopefully people don't say, well, what good is it for me to talk to people? I don't see crime going down. 2 people could have heard that. And instead of seeking revenge on a classmate or a neighbor, decided, it's not worth it. I talked to this person, or I heard this person's, or I read about this person, and I don't want to go through that. So if you want to hear some of the stories from people who've been there, you can tune to the Joel Wilborn YouTube channel and listen to some of those interviews. Hopefully you can share it with folks. And go out, have a fantastic day, and make wonderful memories for tomorrow. Thanks for joining.